Seeker. Written by Suzana Thompson. Performed by Heather Firth. Chapter 31. My teacher had a fatal heart attack, even though she was only 35. I left for the closest hospital as soon as the paramedics arrived, and I fidgeted anxiously in the emergency waiting room. Silas called me to question where I was, since I was supposed to meet him at an ice cream shop after school in celebration of summer vacation. When I told him what happened, leaving out the part about the visit from death, he joined me at the hospital. When my teacher's husband walked out of the emergency room, his shell-shocked expression confirmed the worst. I wanted to ask him about the cause of death, but I couldn't question him in that moment. I knew what it was like to lose someone so suddenly without warning. "Do you need me to drive you anywhere?" I offered. "I left my car at the school," he answered distractedly, with the shock still evident on his face. "I'll drive you there," I said. "I'll drive there as well," Silas stated. I had almost forgotten that he was here, but I was now worried that he might blurt out something insensitive in his clueless way. "That's okay. I'll just call you when I get home." He said nothing in reply as we walked out into the hospital parking lot. We parted in order to go to our respective cars. I was now left with a grief-stricken stranger, and I had no idea what to say to him. The silence weighed heavily on me, but it was even more difficult to hear the pain in his voice. "She's never had any health problems," he said. "There was no sign of anything being wrong with her heart. She's not even 40. People over 40 have heart attacks. I just can't believe—" "I'm sorry," I told him after he trailed off in misery. I couldn't think of anything else to say after that. Once we arrived at the school, his lone car in the parking lot seemed to emphasize how alone he was now. My sorrow for him increased when he stood beside his car, looking like he didn't know what to do next. "Do you have any family?" I asked. "Can you call someone to be with you?" "Emily's family?" he exclaimed in anguish. "Oh God, they don't even know." Silas arrived as I stood there helplessly. "Have you contacted his family?" he questioned me. "Not yet," I replied. "We must call them," he declared. "Humans gather their kin when one of them dies." His statement was true, even if it was stated in a bizarre way. "Who can we call for you?" I gently inquired of Emily's husband. I hadn't known her first name before he had spoken it, and knowing it now made me feel more intimately connected to her death. Last names were more formal, but first names were reserved for closer relationships. I was suddenly involved in her personal life, and she had become Emily to me. "John," her husband answered me. "My brother." Appearing to be galvanized by an action he could take, he pulled his phone out of his pocket and called his brother. "John," he said into the phone, "Emily's dead." His eyes widened in horror like he just realized this fact. Silas took the phone out of his hand after he'd failed to say anything else. "Hello?" he spoke. "I am here with your brother." He proceeded to tell them the name of our high school and asked if he knew where it was. "I don't know," he responded to something John had apparently asked him. "They took her to the hospital after she fainted." He paused to listen again and then assured John that he would wait here. "Your brother is coming," he told the man I only knew as Emily's husband. The poor guy slouched against his car and stared into space as we waited silently with him. Once his brother arrived, emotion burst through his nearly catatonic stupor. I felt so bad for him, but I was relieved to be freed from the situation. "Do you still want to go to the ice cream shop?" Silas asked me quietly as I stepped toward my car. "Yeah," I decided. "Meet me there." "Let's eat outside in the car," I suggested after I saw how packed the ice cream shop was. Silas followed me to my car after we got our cold treats. That's when I told him about the guy I saw approach Emily in the classroom. "I never knew that death could be blonde," I quipped. But there was no real humor in it. "We are," he began, and then corrected himself. "They are as varied as humans." "But why do I keep seeing them?" I complained. "I thought it'd be over after you turned human." "You still saw Abel after I no longer could," he reminded me. "I thought that was just so he could help me with your new life," I said. "I didn't see him anymore after everything was settled." "Am I always gonna know when people are dying?" I exclaimed as Silas pondered my previous statement. "It appears so," he said. "No," I protested. "I don't want to know that. Why would God do this to me?" "I don't know," Silas admitted. "I cannot guess the purpose of it." "Oh," I remarked snidely. "You mean you can't explain God's purpose either? Did you ever think that there is no purpose? Maybe he just kills people for the hell of it." "Mila, don't say such things." He was horrified by my blasphemous remarks, but I felt a growing resentment toward God. He seemed to be targeting all the people around me and taunting me with the knowledge that I couldn't do anything about it. When I looked up information about heart attacks, I found out that the signs were much less obvious in women and could easily be overlooked. They often had no chest pains, but jaw pain was one of the listed symptoms. I remembered noticing this very thing, but I hadn't known that it could be anything serious. Maybe I could have saved her if I'd known to call the ambulance when I saw her wince in pain at the beginning of class. I know everything now when it's too late to change anything. I know that she was yet another person in my life who died too young. Her age is on the memorial card I got from the funeral home when Silas and I went to pay our last respects. I stare at the years printed on it, showing this span of her life, as I contemplate the fact that I keep seeing death, but I'm never the one who dies. Despite what Silas told me when I tried to kill myself, I'm starting to have a real fear that I'll always be the one left behind as those around me die.